What is your position on the data center in Box Elder County?
Sure.
Is it being rushed, and would you characterize your discussions with Kevin O'Leary?
Yeah. So we've had a few discussions for sure. What I can say is that the discussions have been very positive. Let me back up a little bit and just talk generally about data centers. We've had data centers in this state for a long time. I've been pretty neutral on data centers. I think they're important, but they're not the number one source of economic development for our state by any means, and shouldn't be. Look, we're living through a very interesting time right now. There was an article I read yesterday that said that this is very similar to kind of the nuclear arms race, the nuclear era, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Very different than anything that we've experienced in the past several decades. And there is a national security piece to this that has to be acknowledged. The rate at which machine learning and artificial intelligence is changing, the dangers that poses, and what happens if an adversarial nation gets ahead of us in this space is something that we should all be worried about. And so we have an obligation. I think every state has an obligation when it comes to this space to allow for these types of data centers to be built in their states. We have to do this. We can't just say no and shut the doors and go home and let China win this technology race. So that just can't be an option. And so we have to do this smart. We have to do it in the right places and in the right way. We should not have data centers everywhere, and we should be very careful with our resources. And so those are the conversations that have been had. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad information out there about data centers. People are operating off of models and technologies that have changed drastically over the past few years, especially when it comes to water usage. That's one where the numbers are just wrong. There was also a report about warming around data centers that was also deeply flawed, and immediately found out that it's deeply flawed. But everybody just believes it now, that data centers use all the water and destroy everything around them, and that's just not true. And so we're going to have these in our country, and we're going to have some of these in our state. And so the question is, again, where do we put them, and how do we do this in the best way? This is a location where they have water available. It's not taking additional water away from the Great Salt Lake. It's taking water that would be used for other things and using it for a different purpose now. And we have air quality standards that we have to abide by, that they have to abide by. And here's where Utah is really shining. We did something different than other states, and that is we said we're not going to allow these data centers to take all of our power, which will significantly increase the power consumption and the power rates for the people of our state. We're not going to allow that to happen. Again, this is the bad information that keeps getting put out there. So these companies, if and when they decide to build, they're going to have to build their own power supplies. And ultimately, that's good for our state because they're going to put power back on the grid, which will help us keep our power rates lower than anywhere else in the country. And so, look, I understand the concern that people have. I have concerns about where we're putting these and when we're putting these. But this is one where we've had conversations recently. Again, this is going through MIDA, so it's a quasi state entity, but I don't have control over that entity. I think I appoint one person to that entity, and so we again we want to we want to make sure that they're doing it the right way, and this is one that I think is going to help our country long term, and that's something that we all have to be a part of. I do. Yes.
And to the concerns that it has been rushed, what do you say?
Well, what I can say again is MIDA has a process that they go through and hearings that they go through, and people have had a chance to provide feedback. This whole idea of being rushed, I'm so tired of our country taking years to get stuff done. It's the dumbest thing ever. We think that taking time makes things better or safer. It absolutely does not. You get a chance to give your feedback and then decisions get made. That's how we have to do stuff in this country and in this state. People have a chance. We're hearing from them. They're they're hearing from them. Again, I don't get to make this decision, but the decision makers will take into account the feedback that they receive, and then they'll make a decision, and then we move forward. We've let the people against virtually everything destroy our country, destroy our industrial base, destroy our mining base, destroy our housing base, because we can't build anything in this country anymore. And those days are over. We're done with that. We take feedback. We understand what people want. We say no to many things because there is good feedback, but we can't say no to everything. And this is in a place where it's built for something like this. If you go out there, it's not next to somebody's house where people are going to get angry because it's in their neighborhood. It's right next to a natural gas pipeline, so they can build their own energy. It's not going to. I mean, it's just. I don't know, if you can't put this here, then we can't put them anywhere. And that's part of the frustration that I think people are feeling.
Governor, are you concerned about the potential emissions that this project may have?
I already said that. I already said yes. You have to meet the air quality standards, period.